They only give me one mic when I talk on the radio. Golly, well, it's good to see everybody here, and all good things come to an end, and I guess today's the day. By my count, 752 or 54 touchdown Tampa Bays in regular season games and postseason games, 1,349. And today will be 1,356, I'm hoping, for a 7-touchdown game. I want to go out with at least, 1,350. But 1989, I got a phone call from a fellow by the name of Tim Welch from WRBQ, Q105, the Q Morning Zoo. And he says, hey, Gene, he says, Tim here from WRBQ in Tampa. I'd like to talk to you about being the play-by-play announcer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I said, well, I have a job, a real good job at Florida State, and I thought it was a Q Morning Zoo prank, to be honest. I'm not interested. Well, he called me back the next day, and I had seen the story that Mark Champion had stepped down, and I said, well, he wasn't pulling my leg, and he called me back. I said, well, I saw where Mark, and he said, yeah, we want to talk. And I said, well, I'll be in Tampa for a convention, the Dairy Farmers Convention. One of our great sponsors of the Bobby Bowden TV show was over at Clearwater Beach. So I had a reason to be in Tampa, and so we met at the West Shore Marriott, and Tim, and he took me over to WRBQ. And by the way, Ralph Beaver is still working in the NFL. He controls frequencies for the league. Well, he was the owner and general manager of the station. And a fellow by the name of Randy Kabrick was a consultant, and they made me an offer. And I said, well, it sounds really good. I'd like, but I got to get my boss to agree that I can do an NFL game on Sunday. My boss was Andy Miller, Seminole Boosters, and that's where the paycheck came from. And the athletic director, Hootie Ingram, and of course, Bobby Bowden. And I said, if I get all three of those fellas to say it's a good deal, I'll say yes. So I got Hootie to say yes. He wasn't really excited about the NFL game. He's a big college guy. Okay, and Andy Miller thought it was great because we got a lot of Seminole boosters in the Bay Area. He said, I think it's great for the boosters, for them. I think that's great, Gene. Yeah. And I said, okay, so let me have Coach Bowden. And why Coach Bowden? Because he did his TV show with me. And we generally did that TV show at 6:30 a.m. on Sunday morning. But now I'd have to be heading toward Tampa in the vehicle or flying to Seattle in an airplane, so we could not do his TV show at 6:30 in the morning. I hated early morning shows anyway. I said, Coach said, are you going to do our games? And I said, yes, sir, I'm going to do that, but I have to get on a plane or drive. He said, well, why do you have to ask me permission if you're going to do our games? I said, well, because you may have to do your TV show at 2 or 3 in the morning when we get back home from a trip to Charlottesville or Pittsburgh, wherever. And he, without hesitation, the greatest coach in America, Bobby Bowden, said, you just wake me up when the commercials are over. We'll do that TV show anytime you want to. And I've told that story many times, and it's so true today. Without Coach Bobby Bowden, I would not be standing here after 37 years of saying, touchdown Tampa Bay. The RBQ folks, WRBQ, hired me to be the play-by-play announcer because of the Q Morning Zoo format. I don't know if you're familiar with it. A lot of you folks aren't old enough to remember the Q Morning Zoo, but they had a combo of people. They told a lot of funny stories, a lot of vignettes and all that sort of stuff. And so the idea that Mr. Kabrick had and Mr. Beaver was we're going to be a Q Morning Zoo radio announce team. So they said, you're going to do the play-by-play. We've got Al Keck from, at that time Al was working CBS TV here. He'll be the color commentator, and we're going to hire Jesse the Body Ventura to be the third man in the booth. Now, how about that? That was speculation. Jesse the Body going to do the game. So we had a press conference. Jesse came in. Mean Gene, he called me, Mean Gene. We're playing in Chicago. We're playing in Chicago, Soldier Field. It had to be like 42 degrees. I got everything on I could put on to stay warm. And Jesse came to that game with a golf shirt. He said, boy, this is golf weather, Mean Gene. And anyway, that was Jesse, and he worked 2 years with us, and Al. And then thank you very much, Q105. And Mr. Culverhouse was the owner. He signed off on the deal. And at the press conference, similar to this, I don't think many of you were here in 1989 at that press conference in the bowels of the old Sombrero. But a reporter asked, I don't know who it was, said, well, how are you going to call touchdown? Are you going to do it like Mark Johnson? Well, radio is alliterative, and I thought touchdown Tampa Bay might be the perfect call. And so it became touchdown Tampa Bay. And so that began in '89. We beat Green Bay in my very first broadcast, by the way. Vinny Testaverde had his best game. He could see the right colors. Don't tell Vinny I said that. But anyway, that began '89. We beat Green Bay, and then I think they beat us every game since then, but up there, except when Baker had a perfect game a couple of seasons ago. But then in 1991, the radio rights went up for bid, and the folks at Infinity Broadcasting, WQYK, got the rights to the radio broadcast. And I came down to WQYK in St. Petersburg side and visited with a fellow named Jay Miller, a fellow named Tom Rivers, and a fellow named Jeff Ryan. And they said, we want you to stay on as the play-by-play voice of the Buccaneers, but we'd like to get a former Buccaneer into the booth. We're not going to bring Jesse down from Minnesota. We like Al, but we want to get a former player in a two-man booth. And so we auditioned about 24 different prospects for the, some were players, former players, some were not. We auditioned one lady. She didn't get the job, but she was very good. During the, Jeff Wright will tell me, during the audition, I kept talking. We had a New York Jets Bucs game video, big screen, and we had crowd effect, crowd noise. And I'd do the play, and I knew the plays. I mean, I'd seen the video 24 times. And she wanted to audition. And so we get into the audition, okay, first down and 10, so I got a tackle made by, and she hadn't said a word. And so I said, you might want to say something here. Analyze. She said, oh, okay. And so third down and 2, it's time to punt. She never said it. So she didn't get the job, okay? But I kept on talking, and Dave Logan, great Dave Logan, teammates with Leroy Selman, one of the best defensive. In fact, he sort of set the stage for defensive tackles for the Bucs, and then Leroy, obviously, with a defensive end outside. But then Warren Sapp came along, and so who's Dave Logan? But anyway, if you look at the record books, Dave Logan's right up there in the top 10 of our all-time sack leaders. And he and I worked for 8 years, and unexpectedly, he passed away of a heart attack while he was on the phone talking sports. And WQYK then hired Scott Brantley, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one of the all-time great special teams players for the Bucs, and a pretty good 40 Gator. In fact, Coach Bobby Bowden said, he says, Jay, you working with that Scott Brantley? I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, he said, well, I want you to tell him that I recruited a lot of high school kids. He said, but he was the very best high school player I ever saw. And so I told that to Scott, and Scott bowed up like this. Bobby said that? Bobby said that? Yes, he did. And every time I talk to Scott, I remind him what Coach Bowden said. Anyway, Tom Corrin was working in the booth as well, and we had a 3-man booth, and that was before you could have sideline. Then Ronnie Lane, who does our pre- and post-network shows, he worked with our broadcast, did halftime and pre-game and post-game. And Ronnie Lane will go down, was one of the shortest cab rides hailed in the history of Buccaneer football. It was 25 degrees in Detroit. We got off the wrong elevator on the wrong side of the Silverdome. And it's freezing cold. The bus is on the other side, and we're freezing. There were 3 of us. And Ronnie saw a cab, and he hailed down the cab. And the cab, I'll never forget the cab. Where to? Other side of the stadium. He said, what? The other side of the stadium. And every time I talk to Ronnie, I remind him that was the shortest cab ride I've ever had. The cab was warm. We got on the bus, and Mrs. Culverhouse was not happy because they'd been waiting for us. It's a longer story than that. But then from that crew, the Bucs wanted to go back to a former player Scott was a former player, and Hardy Nickerson was available. Our Pro Bowl All-Pro linebacker had retired, and he became the analyst for the Buccaneer, rated up for 1 year. And it shocked me when he got back into coaching because he did a heck of a job analyzing football games. But one play in particular, Matt Bryant's 63-yard field goal to beat Philadelphia. I think the call was, Bucs win, Bucs win, Bucs win. Hardy, say hallelujah. And Hardy went, hallelujah. Hardy, you can do better than that. Hallelujah. And so that was Hardy, that 1 year. Then he went back into coaching. And then his son played football too. And that's when Dave Moore announced he was retiring from playing football for the Buccaneers. And I'll never forget, Bruce Allen called me up and he says, Gene, we're going to have a press conference. He says, Dave is going to announce his retirement, and we're going to announce him as the new color analyst for the Buccaneer Radio Network. So Dave and I have done football games for 20 years. When he played 14 years, he's played 34 years with well, all but 2 with the Buccaneers. And he and I we're like family. So I've been blessed to work with fellows that knew more about football than I'll ever know. But all I had to do was do time and score, down and distance, and who made the catch and who made the run and who made the tackle. And then those fellows have to do the hard work. So I've been blessed to work. I've learned more football from coaches and color analysts than I never played football. I played basketball. It got me a scholarship to play junior college ball. I met my wife 60 years, 6 months, and 13 days ago. We married, and so we just celebrated our 60th and working on 61. And my son Dennis is right back there, and then my grandson Tanner, they came to the game today. And Tanner blessed me with a little great grandbaby this past July. We have 2. It's amazing. Tanner's wife, Sarah, had a baby on Sunday, and the day before, one of my other grandsons, his wife had a baby. So 17 hours apart, I became great-grandparents number 2. Birthday was in May. I turned 80, and I sent all the birthday wishes. I sent out the same note, thanks a lot for the shout, for the birthday wish. 80 is the new 40. And 80 is the new 40. And then all of a sudden, this season, the vision has started to get worse. I can still see. I'm legal to drive, so don't worry about me running over you. But the vision has gotten, the preparation is even harder than the play-by-play because you got binoculars. But the work of preparing and reading, some of the press releases are very small print. It just got to where I said, you know what? I've been doing this for a long time. It's about time to say, okay, let some young fella come in here and work with Dave and say touchdown Tampa Bay. I don't know what the new announcer will say, but it should be something similar to touchdown Tampa Bay. And I hope that they continue to say, fire them cannons. A story about the pirate ship in the corner. 1998, we opened the new stadium. Remember, I had to play away games for the first 2 or 3 weeks. Opened the stadium, played Chicago, and my oldest grandson, who was 34 years old now, lives in Nashville. He's watching the game, and they got the radio on too. And that's my granddad. And he sees that pirate ship. Now, at this time, he was about 6, 7 years old. And he saw that pirate ship, and everybody thought, what in the world are they putting a pirate ship in a football stadium for? That doesn't make any sense. They thought that Mr. Glazer was crazy. We could put more seats in, not a pirate ship. And when I got home, the first thing my grandson said, Granddaddy, I want to go see a Buccaneer. I want to see that pirate ship. And it just dawned on me then that the whole thought was to make it an environment where people really wanted to come to the stadium and watch the Buccaneers play football. So then we started doing the fire the cannons, and at the Super Bowl 55, fire them cannons. And that's become sort of a trademark. I once asked the Bucs marketing people, I said, that would be a great ringtone maybe, a ringtone you could probably peddle it, fire them cannons, fire. And he sort of looked at me and thought it was a crazy idea. But if anybody wants a ringtone, I could say, fire them cannons, okay? Fire them cannons! And on that note, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them, okay? Thank you. Oh, Jeff Ryan is here. Jeff over here, he's been with me he was at QIK. And his wife, Linda, has been spotting for me for, the last 15 years. But thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Linda. Or should I say Terry? Okay, question.
Gene, when you look at this long run that you've had, what are you most proud of?
Proud that I've stayed married for 60 years, 6 months, and 13 days. Proud that I have 3 sons that are employed. That I have 6 wonderful grandchildren and 2 new great-grandbabies. That's probably, but as far as announcing, I think the accomplishment of broadcasting, Bucs win. I want to say that today. I want to say it next week. I want to say it the following week. But the Bucs win. The old story on ABC, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. It's always a lot better, more fun as a radio play-by-play announcer for a team to say Bucs win. So any win over our division rivals, Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina. Excuse me, Anish, but I thought I'd throw that out there. Don't tell Luke Kuechly he's liable to hit me upside the head. But any win over and then obviously playoff wins. the last couple of years, having to win football games at the end of the season. I mean, every game comes right down to you got to win. But and I've never said a cuss word on the radio. Never. And I try. Well, yeah. Well, let's wait and see how this game comes out today. But no, I've never said that. I've never been overly critical of a player. They're playing as hard as they can. I've never been overcritical of a coach. We've been through some coaches at Tampa Bay. I was blessed in Florida State to have Bobby for 34 years, and I did all but the first 3 seasons of their radio. He started in '76. I started in '79. So those and the friendships, the relationships, not only with players. Derek Brooks, when he was enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Mr. Glazer and the owners chartered a plane, flew former teammates, former coaches, former players, PR folks, radio announcer, and we went up to Canton. Had like 6. It's like a football trip, 6 buses, and it was really well done. And Derek came in dressed to the nines. He was going to be enshrined. Had a sport coat on, a bow tie, and he's a wonderful man. And so he thanked the Glazer family, Mr. Glazer, the whole family was there. He thanked Monty Kiffin. Tony Dungy was doing the game on NBC, so Tony was there. And, of course, John Gruden, our coach. And he said, I just want to say thank you. And after he finished all these things, he said, now I want this guy over here. He says, Gene, come here. And so I walked up to the podium sort of like this, and he put his arm around me and gave me this big old hug and a little punch in the belly. And he says, this guy right here broadcast every game I ever played in college or pro. And I said, wow, I hadn't even thought about that. So I didn't have the guts to tell him that we did not get the radio rights to the 1993 championship game, and I did not do that game, Derek. I'm sorry. And don't tell Derek I told you that. But he called me over and gave me a hug. And then the commissioner, Roger Goodell, was there, and he came up. He said, is it true, Gene, that you broadcast every game, Derek? I said, well, yeah, he just told me it's true. He said, well, what did he do? I said, he gave me a hug. So the commissioner comes over, and he gives me a hug. And then Brian Glazer, of all things, starts running from where he was. He said, I want a hug, too. And Jeff Ryan said, hey, Gino, I don't know what you want in that next raise, but I think you could ask for just about anything. No, I did not. But that was a tie-in for what I've done. College on Saturday, pro game on Sunday. The Derek Brooks tie-in is, I think, one of the most remarkable. I told Jameis, I said, Jameis, if you keep playing, I'm going to keep broadcasting. I want to do all of your games too, but he didn't keep playing for us. But God bless Jameis. But that's the tie-in between college and pro. Bobby Bowden, Tony Dungy. I've been blessed. John Gruden one time, Super Bowl 37. We have a golf tournament, Derek Brooks golf tournament, and to raise money for his foundation over at Old Memorial. And Coach Gruden, my wife, loved John Gruden. She said, I want to meet John Gruden. So I introduced Coach Gruden to my wife, Ann. And, oh, good to see you. Oh, Ann, I love you. I love this guy. I love this guy. Hugs and all that. And so just as he finishes the conversation, Gene taps me on the chest. You get the Super Bowl ring, ain't you? And I said, well, Coach, nobody's asked me for a ring size. Nobody's asked me. I don't think so. He did one of these, looked up at the ceiling, and then he walked away. Good to see you, Ann. Next day, I got a phone call from one Buccaneer place. What's your ring size? You're getting a Super Bowl ring. Now, there's somebody on the staff that did not get the gold one with the diamonds in it because Coach Gruden awarded me a Super Bowl ring. And the Glazer family presented me with a ring for 55, too. That's that big one you can't wear, It's huge. But they sleep in safe deposit boxes, and I very seldom see them. But just proud to be. I got 2 championship rings, and I did not do the 93. Florida State. I got the 99 and the 2013, and the 2 Super Bowl rings. So you asked a question. It's a long answer, but I'm very proud of those accomplishments. And Hall of Fames. I love the game of basketball. I miss doing basketball games, but I can't play anymore. You got to have peripheral, depth perception to shoot free throws. And at one time, I shot 91% free throws. So when I did basketball games and a kid missed a free throw, I was not very happy, because I couldn't make a free throw as a 9th grader, but as a senior, I made every one of them. I once shot 114 in a row, but not in a game. But anyway, any more questions? I won't be long because I got to go to work.
Favorite announcing moment besides Super Bowl 37 and 50?
Rondé Barber's 92-yard interception return for a touchdown. That's my number 1 all-time play for the Buccaneers. in the top 4, Ronde Barber, Joe Juravicius, you go Joe. And the documentary, by the way, that's on Amazon, they have some of those calls. But the Joe Juravicius' son was dying, and he did not fly with the team. He came in like the night before the game. And when he made that catch on 3rd down and just ran down the sideline, you know, I get emotional. I'm emotional right now. But that was a very emotional moment, I think, for all of us. And then, hey, I can't forget, we get the ball back against the New Orleans Saints last year, and Mike Evans needs 5 more yards to reach 1,000 for the 11th year in a row. I have never seen this stadium react or his teammates react, and coaches or the broadcast booth like we did when Mike made that catch to reach 1,000 yards. That's in my top 10. Michael Spurlock, run Michael, our first kickoff return touchdown. And 5 years before that, we had a kid named Vernon Turner against Detroit that ran back our very first punt return for a touchdown. So those are great moments for me, great memories, and I was part. I didn't do any of the running, I didn't do any of the tackling, but I said touchdown Tampa Bay better than most. Okay, thank you. One more question, 2 more.
Gee,
Phil?
was there one player that you were totally shocked that you got to call his games for? Was there one guy?
Well, the Tom Brady thing sort of shocked most of us, I think. And you know, a sad story. I'm a play-by-play announcer, and I don't live in Tampa, but I come to to preseason practice. And the first year Tom Brady was our quarterback, COVID. So we couldn't be anywhere around the players. So I did not come to preseason camp. We broadcast every game from right here in the stadium, in the end zone. We had crowd noise piped in. NFL Films provided the crowd noise. And we watched TV. We had the all 22, and that's how we did the play-by-play for away games. For home games, we had the booth. But Tom Brady, couldn't see him that year. Great season, Super Bowl season. 2021, I'm going to come down and I'm going to meet, because what's Tom Brady really? What's Tom really like? I think all the ladies in Tallahassee are 80 years old, so they made the movie 80 for Brady about. Oh, but anyway, I'm going to come down and see. And then I said, Jeff, I need to come down to camp. I really want to. He said, well, we still have these COVID regulations, so if you have any contact with fans, you can't have contact with players. So I said, well, you know what? Maybe next year will be a good year to meet Tom Brady. So I come down the 3rd year of the Brady era, and what a remarkable run. What a great quarterback. I come to preseason practice, and I said, Jeff, I got to see. We come to the One Buccaneer Place, Advent Health Center, and there's no Tom Brady. Where's Tom Brady? At the press conference, the coach said, well, we've given Tom Brady some time off. He wanted like a 12-day sabbatical. I never had a chance to meet Tom Brady, to shake Tom Brady's hands, but I sure saw every one of his press conferences on my computer, and that's as close as I got to Tom. You know, I never had a chance to shake hands with Dean Smith, and I, to this day, regret not shaking hands and saying hello to Dean Smith. And I feel the same way about Tom. Tom's doing okay, don't you think? He's doing okay. He didn't need to see Gene. Anyway, maybe one more.
I'll start up the gut.
I'll start up the gut. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Warren Sapp. Every time I see Warren, he comes up, he squeezes my hand, and gives me a hug. He says, I want to call. I want to hear it, Gene. I want to hear the call. And it's funny. I got a call from one of Warren's teammates. New Year's Day. I mean, it shocked the heck out of. In fact, I didn't want to even answer the phone because I didn't recognize the phone. Okay. I guess I can I mention Tom Brady? Can I mention John Lynch? Can I mention John Lynch?
Sure.
John Lynch called me. It was 8:30 my time. It had to be, what, 5:30? He's in California, right? Well, I don't know. 49ers playing in California?
Yes, California.
But it was John called. He says, Gene, I just want to tell you, you're the best, man. Congratulations on a phenomenal career. He says, Sapp and Brooks and I have been on the phone for the last 24 hours talking about you and what you meant for the program. I said, John, that is just marvelous and wonderful. Appreciate your phone call. But those are relationships that you build. John Lynch, thank you very much. Maybe we'll see you down the road, okay? Anyway, thank you very much. Go Bucs! Fire them cannons!